What's up, friends, countrymen, fellow degenerates? Welcome to this episode of Butts and Buds. We're the Buds giving you the bets. I'm Jason Smoking Token. This is my partner in crime, Bobby Light. How you doing, Bobby?
I'm good, Jason. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. How'd that week go for you last week?
No, not as good as yours, brother. Crow to the roof tonight.
Well, as you see, there's no celebratory cigar celebrating here, so I didn't hit any Smoking Token hot parlays this week. But I did have a nice week against Vegas. Against Vegas, I did have a nice week. I went 11-5 against the spread, 13-3 on the money line, 9-7 on my over/unders, with a 68% winning clip all the way across the board.
That's a fantastic week.
Hey, it was a good week. We're starting to get this season to take shape a little bit.
Yep.
So now we know what the teams are, what we're looking at, and we don't have all this magic stuff going on now. We're kind of seeing old school football come back where people are running the ball.
Guys, I don't know what's going on right now.
You'll find it, Bobby. You'll find it. You're going to get that Bobby Light, red light special here real soon. It's going to hit like butter for you. Like butter, baby.
It's been a rough 3 weeks. Week number one's been the best. We'll get back on track.
Oh, yeah. It's a long season. We're just getting started. This party's getting going. And so we got this week slate starting off. It's going to be a nice week.
Oh, I love the Thursday night game.
Detroit versus the Packers.
I love that game.
Detroit crushed the Packers' dreams last year. Sent Aaron Rodgers to the Jets.
They did.
That pretty much sent Aaron Rodgers to the Jets, basically by them exiting him out there. So, you know what? I like that.
Excellent defense last week against Atlanta. Just shut Atlanta down.
They jumped out on Atlanta, and that's Atlanta's Achilles heel.
Atlanta can't throw the ball.
They can't play from behind. Like, typically, as of right now, at this stage of the season, they can't play from behind. Right. So they jumped out on Atlanta. So what do you like in this game for Thursday night, Bobby?
I actually like it. Right now, I've got it going off at 1.5. Detroit giving up the 1.5. So I'll give it up because I think Detroit goes into Green Bay and wins this game.
You think so?
I think so.
You know what? I'm on the opposite end of you, brother.
Okay.
I think Jordan Love is going to tell the fans, bring it.
Bring it?
Bring it, baby. Bring it. I'm here.
Green Bay to
I'm
win
here and I'm right. Yes. So because Green Bay is, like, I have them as 1.5 underdogs.
Okay.
And so I get them obviously winning the money line. Over-under at 45.5. What'd you get the over-under at?
I've got the over.
I got the over.
I like the over.
I like the over in that one too.
I think they're going to score on each other.
Yeah, I like the over as well. We got to see where Jair Alexander is going into that game because I know that had a big impact on last game.
Right.
That's the only reason why that Saints game, in my opinion, was that close. We had no Jair Alexander. Injuries is going to play a part for every team at this state of the season. But if he's in that game on Thursday night, you know what? I like the Green Bay Packers.
Okay, we're in disagreement on that one, but that's okay.
That's all right. That's what sometimes makes the action live, baby. That's what makes the action live.
So we're gonna move on to the next game. We've got Atlanta versus Jacksonville. In Jacksonville looked putrid last week.
You know what? Because I had a little juice on that game. I had a 2 touchdown by Calvin Ridley. So I was paying a little extra attention to the game when I ordinarily would not pay attention to the game. Calvin Ridley and Trevor Lawrence were not on the same page.
No,
at all. Calvin Ridley dropped a touchdown pass earlier in that game. There was a couple times the route just seemed to be out of sync, just by a little bit. So I kind of got this as a get back game for the Jacksonville Jaguars here. I got them because they're 3-point favorites right now in Jacksonville. So I got them as a get back game. Obviously going to hit the money line, and the over under was at 43.5. I got the under going on that game.
Okay, and that's the only thing we're in agreement on because I've got Atlanta covering the spread, winning that game in London because this game's in London. This isn't in Jacksonville.
Yes, it is in London. Yes,
this one's in London.
But that's basically a Jacksonville game. Okay. I mean, Jacksonville's like a pseudo Europe team.
But we agree on the under. I like the under.
Yes. Well. I forgot about that being an Atlanta game. So get your ass up early that morning because that's like 8:30, 9 o'clock. That's when the kickoff's going to be. So 8:30,
as far as
I
forgot the first game, but as far as fantasy goes. This is week 4, everybody. You should be looking at your waiver wire pickups right now. Like you've kind of figured out what your team's going to be. If Kirk is still available off of Jacksonville, pick him up. This is your week pickup.
And a lot of people there's probably people that have dropped Christian Kirk. That they drafted Christian Kirk because he has not done anything.
First couple of weeks, so yes, he's not available in our league, but he's probably available in a couple.
Well, that's what we play at Champions League, where it's 14 teams, and so. But any of you 10-team, 12-team league people, I'm sure Christian Kirk's probably in your waiver wire somewhere out there.
Okay, moving on to the next game, I've got Miami and Buffalo. What do you like there, Jason?
This was a tough one for me. Because this was almost a fool's gold game, almost. Yeah. Because they almost want you to lay it up. Because the Dolphins are actually 3-point underdogs because they're in Buffalo. Buffalo has looked really strong. But Miami just scored 70 fucking points last week.
I understand.
70 fucking points. So that's where they want to play with your emotions and your heartstrings a little bit.
But keep this in mind: Miami's lost 7 in a row in New York.
Oh, yeah,
lost 7 in a row.
Well, they're going up north now. They're getting out of humidity. I mean, like the team is going to have a little bit of comfortability now. At the point they're not going to have down to Miami. They don't have to sweat their ass off. They're not going to be dying, and it's going to be a more of a level playing field.
That's why I think Buffalo takes this one.
I'm actually with you on this one, Bobby. Because Buffalo they had an embarrassing loss against the Jets.
They did.
Josh Allen had to answer some questions he hasn't had to answer really much throughout his entire career up to this point yet, as far as like his turnovers and mistakes he's made and that aspect. So I kind of see a focus out of the Buffalo Bills right now, where it makes it really hard. Their secondary is completely healthy right now because you got Micah Hyde, you got Poyer, and you got Tre'Davious White.
Yes.
So like they are pretty much loaded, and their secondary is healthy.
They've only given up 12 points in the last 2 games.
Right. So for me, I mean, I'm kind of I can see them slowing down that wagon that it is the Miami Dolphins right now. And
Miami's going to have to bang in this one.
Miami's going to have to definitely bang. So it's going to have to be a running game for Miami to kind of stick with this. But I'm kind of going to go with the Bills with you on this one. So the Bills are a 3-point favorite. Yep. So I take them on the money line. Over-under is at 53.5. What do you like on that?
I like the under. I think this is going to be a banging game. This is not going to be a shootout.
See, I think it's early in the season. Buffalo, weather's going to still be fairly decent, unless there's some type of storm that's going to come through this week. I like the over on that one. I like the over on that one. I like the over just because I see those two offenses kind of being able to kind of pop off on each other a little bit.
Oh, I mean, Miami can score, obviously, 53
apparently,
and a half by themselves.
70, 1966 was the last time you seen somebody score 70 points.
Like, I was sitting at home, and just every time I turned around, they were showing a new highlight of Miami scoring a touchdown.
Well, I'm sitting at the bar, and that wasn't the sound of the game, when we were watching the game at the bar. And I sat there, and I saw it was like 44-20 or something like that. All of a sudden, I turned around. I was like, "Do I really see 70 fucking
70
points?
Yeah.
Is that what I really see on the board?"
Insane.
Oh, that was crazy. That was crazy.
So, as far as fantasy goes in that game, if Shane's still available in your league, obviously you got to pick him up. The guy had 203 rushing yards.
He's still available in our league with a 14-team league on both. I have two 14-team leagues. He's available in both teams.
Yep.
He will not be available after this week. So if you have their first waiver wire priority, get his ass right to get a chain. A con,
I'm not getting him.
I know I'll get him. I might get him. I never know. I can still get him. You never know. But that's definitely your fantasy pick for this week here for sure.
All right, what do we got as our next game, Jason?
All right, we got the Steelers and the Texans. So the Texans got a nice, huge victory against that lowly Jaguars performance last week.
They did. Oh, that's brutal.
That was.
Hey, I covered the spread.
The Texans blocked their first field goal. They missed the second field goal, and from that point, I was like, "Oh shit!" Jaguars.
Believe me, I was feeling it because I had Jacksonville's kicker going in my games, and I lost this week. So.
I had a 2-touchdown parlay with Calvin Ridley going, and the Jaguars had to win. That was my whole little juice of the day. One of my little smoking token hot parlays I felt good about. But once Ridley dropped that first touchdown, and I saw where things were going, I was like,
no, that one's over.
Yeah, that was over. Okay. So
that's the best we're going to talk about Houston in this segment.
Yeah, that's the best we're going to talk about Houston in this segment because I still got the Steelers to win. The Steelers are covering these 3 points.
Yes, they are.
And they're obviously going to get the money line. The over-under was 42.5 is what I got. What do you like on that one?
See, I had 40. It's up to 42 now.
42 now?
I had 41 this morning. I like the over in that one.
See, I like the under.
You like the under?
Yeah, I like because I still got to see some more out of Pittsburgh's offense first before I can go over for them.
That is
unless
true.
They're playing a high power offense, and they got enough defense to shut down C.J. Stroud because these boys are going to hunt.
C.J. Stroud has, surprisingly looked good. He's your best rookie quarterback of the season.
I liked him from the get go. Honestly, out of all the guys, only because the only difference, Bryce Young, they say probably can see the field better. But C.J. Stroud has the build, the protocol, and the pedigree to be a stud quarterback.
Legit.
And he does look legit. So, I like C.J. Stroud, but I'm not ready for the Texans to go ahead and get back-to-back victories yet during this young part of his career. Not yet. Not just yet.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going Pittsburgh to cover money line, but I got to go the over.
You went on the over?
Yeah, I'm going over.
Okay, so for me, I took the under on 42.5. Took the under.
As far as that one goes, as long as Johnson's still hurt, you still got to go with Robinson. Pittsburgh's got to pass to somebody, and Freiermuth's just not catching anything this year.
Yeah, he's not catching anything. Robinson, that's a tough one only because He's a beat up old man receiver,
He
but
is a
but he's
beat-up old man.
but if that dog's gonna hunt, he's gonna hunt probably this week. If I would say
It's
he's
gonna
gonna
be
hunt
this week.
especially if Derek Stingley's still out with the hamstring. Because last week Derek Stingley was out with the hamstring. That's why I was really leaning towards Calvin Ridley last week for 2 touchdowns. But if he's going to be back from that hamstring injury, but that's tricky and dicey, especially this early in the season. That's probably a play.
What
So
do we
I like
got
that.
for our next game?
All right, so we got the Rams versus Colts. Rams versus Colts. That game was in Indianapolis. The Rams lost a tough one last night to those Bengals. The Bengals in a do-or-die game. Joey Burrow nut-sacked it up, got in the game.
He did. He
got
got
that
it
shit
done.
ready to go. He got it done.
The Bengals had to have that one.
They had to have it. That's why Joey Burrow played. He said, I would rather take a chance of hurting this calf than going 0-3.
Right.
So, you know what? I got to respect the man on that aspect. But either way, he's not playing in this game. We got the Rams and Colts. So, it's in Indianapolis. The Colts are actually 1.5-point favorites. I like the Colts in this one.
I like the Colts. I like the Colts in this one as well. I think they need their first. They're 2-0 on the road so far.
Yeah.
Like, surprisingly. 0-1 at home, but I think they get it done this week against the Rams.
And they played some solid team football. Right now, what you're seeing with the Colts, they're playing solid team football, and that's what I like. So, I mean, in that aspect, I like the Colts to cover, money line. And the under was 40, over-under was 46.5. I like the under on that game.
I like the under in this one as well.
I like the under. Is that our first one? We're like consecutive?
We're
First agreement on that one. First agreement on that one.
Yep.
What do you like in fantasy-wise, Bobby?
Zach Moss. Like, I'm thinking it's Zach Moss all year because I don't know what they're going to do with Taylor. Unless Taylor wants to bite his tongue and his ego and pride and just come back and be a part of something that Indianapolis is obviously trying to build there.
You know what? I used to think Zach Moss was a bum from what I saw at him from Buffalo.
Yeah.
When he was with Buffalo, I thought Zach Moss was a bum. But last week, he looked nice. He looked nice. And that line seems to be back together.
Yep.
That was the one thing with Indianapolis.
Last
that was
year,
like
that line was supposed to be much better than it was.
That was a very underperforming offensive line. I think that line is going to be very, very intact for this whole season. I like Zach Moss as that pick right there.
Give me Zach Moss.
I do. I like that. I like that a lot.
I've got him on one of my teams.
I like that a lot. He looked damn good. He even caught a receiving touchdown. I didn't even think he had hands. I was shocked he had hands. I was impressed with that. He had hands. All right. So next up, we got the lowly Minnesota Vikings. They find more ways to lose when they should be winning.
Right.
And they find ways to win when they should be losing, except for when it counts.
That game last week,
Yes.
I mean, is Staley fired if that backfires and Minnesota scores that touchdown?
Probably not because of the Spanos family owning that team, and they don't want to pay a fired coach.
Wow.
They don't want to pay a fired
going
coach.
for it on 4th and 1 on your own
24. On your own fucking 24 with a minute 50 left to go instead of again.
Like a different
I don't know the criteria for how you sit down in front of these owners and get a coaching job sometimes, or general manager, whoever it is. But damn, whoever
his agent is like, we need to be looking
or whatever party favors he gave in that aspect of that meeting, because shit, I don't know how the hell he still got his job at this point. But the Chargers were able to pull that out. So we got the lowly Vikings here playing in Carolina. Carolina right now, this stage of the week, the Carolina is actually underdogs at 3.5.
Yes. I like Minnesota to win this game. And going back to a recipe they did last year, winning by 3. So Carolina, give me the 3.5 for Carolina with Minnesota winning and the over.
You like the over?
I do.
Oh, that's our one disagreement there on that one, Bobby. Because I'm with you on that one. I like Carolina to actually cover the 3.5. Win by a field goal, so Minnesota win. But I like the under at 45.5. I like the over-under at 45.5, only because of the fact that Carolina has a pretty stout defense. You can see Minnesota shit the bed on offense. And if they win, I can see it being like a 20-17 game, 24-17, somewhere in that range there, where you just get underneath the under. So
I just don't like either defense. And I could see this one quickly getting out of hand. Like, nobody can stop anybody.
See, I like Carolina's defense a lot better than Minnesota's defense. And let's see if they're going to cash those checks. And there's whispers along the lines of, is Kirk Cousins going to go to the Jets? They lose another game? If they lose another game, does Kirk Cousins go to the Jets? That's for another. That's for another program, because that's for another program.
As far as fantasy goes, give me Thielen. He's starting to heat up. Like, I took him a couple games to get out of the gate. He had 10, 145 line last week. I mean, I get it. He was playing with Andy Dalton, but Stroud's going to have to throw to him at some point.
That's Bryce Young.
Bryce Young's going to have to throw to him at some point.
I mean, and he might, like, Bryce Young's a very intuitive quarterback in that aspect. So he might see like, oh, Andy Dalton, this is how you use
that's how
Adam
you
Thielen.
use a
This is
slot
how you use Adam
receiver.
Thielen.
Yeah.
There you go. And so yeah, so I mean, I like that as a pick. I like that as a pick very well. All right, so the next up, we've got the Buccaneers versus Saints, an NFC South duel. NFC South duel. Oh,
Yeah, this one, the Saints
it's in New Orleans.
last week said could jump out 17-0 and just couldn't hold it up. And
Derek Carr left with
yeah,
this
he left.
separated AC
That's
joint.
that Jameis Winston effect.
Or we
But
you
they
can't.
had the chance to kick the field goal at the end, and he just pushed it right.
Yeah, he pushed it right, but I don't know if I can believe in famous Jameis for a whole quarter. I don't know if I can believe in famous Jameis for a whole game.
No.
For a whole
That's why I
game.
got Tampa covering. And,
I do too.
And the money. And give me the over in this one. 40 points just seems really low.
You got 40. I had 40 and a half. I took the under.
You like the under?
Yeah,
in this
I
one?
took the under. And trust me, hear this when I say this, people. I don't like rooting for bad football because that's what when you're rooting for the unders most of the time, you're rooting for, especially when it's 40 and a half points, you're rooting for bad
Right.
fucking football.
But a division game usually is.
But it's also, it's not about rooting for bad football. It's about rooting for gambling.
Right.
Like there's a couple things that I take pride in. That's my family, my business, and my gambling record, baby. And my gambling record, baby. And so when I go for my gambling record, I got to go with the under on that one for 40 and a half. 40 and a half on the Saints covering that under and a half, 40 and a half.
So
But
I got the cover money in the over.
all right.
As far as it's not really, he's not available. I guarantee he's not available in any league. But if you have Kamara this week, congratulations.
Way to stash him.
Yeah,
Way to stash him. Yeah, the balls to stash him. Hopefully you draft your other running backs who are like strong enough for you to stash Kamara and say, welcome to the party, baby. Welcome to the party. Welcome back to the party.
If they don't give him 25 touches this week, I will be super surprised.
He's got to at least get 15. I mean, you know that. He's got to get at least 15. Because, I mean, you know he's chomping at the bit. And they've been paying him for, like, he's like one of the last, him and Nick Chubb were one of the last running backs, so they were, like, had that big contract money-wise. So, the next game we had on the slate here, this is always a dicey one. I love this matchup here. This is a gambling steal.
Just toss the coin.
This is a gambling steal right here. I always tell people this all the time. It is just a trap game for anybody who gambles. The Commanders and the Eagles.
8 points.
8.5 is what I got. I got 8.5
Let's
is
see,
what I got.
What's it at right now?
Let's say 8.5 or 8. Either way, I'm taking Washington to cover that.
Oh, yeah. I got Washington to cover that.
I'm actually taking Washington on the money line.
Oh, really?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
If you look back in the history of how many times between these two teams that one of the opposing teams has been favored and how many times the underdog has won that game or at least covered the spread, it is almost like clockwork because that's not even a road game for either one of those teams. You got DC and Philadelphia. That's basically a chartered bus ride, essentially, of them going in. I mean, that is such a like that game is essentially a home game for either one of those teams, and it seems to be the underdog always seems to snatch the life from the other team on that aspect. So
I mean, I like your thinking. There, especially Washington to cover. They're definitely not going to lose by 8 points.
I don't think so. And,
I still think Philly wins the game. And I like the over too. What do you got? You've probably got the under.
I do have the under. I do have the under, yes. I had the under at 44.5. That's what I had the under at 44.5. Only because I said I've watched this game through the years of paying attention to football. Right. Also being an NFC East fan, like this game never goes the way like the fans project, how Vegas projects.
No, you're
right. Every way, shape, or form. That game always is a disappointment. And I've watched Washington have miserable seasons. And their one highlight of their season has been beating Philadelphia when they've been like rocking and rolling. So that's kind of where I'm going on that one. So I have Washington to cover, win, and also to hit the under at 44.5.
Okay, I've got Washington to cover, lose, and on the over.
Nice.
And as far as in this game, I really had nobody on Washington to even talk about after last week's debacle. But stick Gainwell on your bench, actually. If you can pick him up and you've got another terrible running back you can dump, put Gainwell on your bench. Swift is going to get hurt at some point.
It's his MO. That's his MO in his career. So yeah,
Gainwell will be the number one when Swift.
If nothing else, like put him as a handicap. If you do have DeAndre Swift, put Gainwell as your handicap. Right. Definitely, I like that. I like that for sure. All right. Ugh.
Next another one.
Broncos and Bears. The Denver Broncos, who just got a 70 burger.
Ugh.
I had a guy try to argue with me like at the bar about like, oh, the Rams greatest show on turf. They had to put 70 points. No,
They,
like I said, they didn't put
like
60.
42.
Yes, they didn't put 60 up. They averaged like 38 to 40 something
Yeah,
points.
they were consistent.
Yeah, they were consistently averaging 38 to 40. But like with Steve Mariucci when he gets on NFL Live or NFL Prime or NFL Network, he goes 40 burger. 50 burger.
Right.
I've never even heard of 60
Yeah.
burger. Never even heard of 60 burger. These fuckers
alone
put
a
up 70 points against the Broncos,
Wow.
which was the strongest point of their the strongest point of their team was the defense
Yeah,
last
it's
year.
supposed to be their defense.
Supposedly. And then the Bears. Like what do we even say about the Bears? We got a coach getting the team his house raided by the feds.
They might be
$100,000 worth of maintenance equipment stolen from the
Oh, is that what it ended up being?
Yeah, it was like
Oh,
100
see, I
like
had-
gators and shit. They knocked down fences and took all type of maintenance equipment. Justin Fields still can't read defenses. He's blaming the coaches for his faults and shortcomings. It's a bad news Bears all the way
Yes, it
around.
is.
It's like
Yes, it is.
fuck. And I tried to support him last week. I went, and that was probably
I did.
that was probably my last time riding with the Bears that I could even justify
Like
doing.
Fields is going to my bench this week. I don't care who else I have to start. It won't be him.
You know what? Like I said, football, family, and my gambling record, brother. And I can't do it with them Bears anymore.
Right.
So I'm going with the Broncos,
Broncos
covering,
cover money.
and I got to go with the under at 46.
Yeah, we're
I
in
got to go.
agreement
Yeah,
on
yeah.
this
So
one.
yeah, that is a unanimous agreement on that one at 46. Yes.
Give me Mims. If you haven't picked Mims up off the waiver wire
Is that
yet,
Denzel Mims? Or is it? No, that's not Denzel Mims. It's the other Mims. I know what you're talking about.
Starts
Though.
it with an M.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a rookie this year.
Yeah, I know you're talking
He's
about.
actually
Yeah.
out playing Sutton and Judy right now. So
Yeah, see, how much Judy made a couple plays last
he
week,
did.
but
He did. He
again
was
in a
slow
blowout
last week.
in a blowout like that, I mean, there's only so much you could do. There's only so much you could do. So that it covers that slate there. So next up, we got a divisional rivalry here. We got the Ravens and the Browns.
Oh, I love this game.
Oh, this is gonna be a great game. I think. I mean, the Browns, like, at some point we got to stop saying the same old sorry ass Browns. At some
Right.
point, because this defense is not playing.
They
got a
actually
great
surprised
secondary.
me last week for as well as they handled Tennessee.
They just got a great secondary. They really truly do. They have a great secondary. Their defensive front, you got Myles Garrett. Their overall front seven is pretty solid all the way around. They got a good offensive line,
Right.
so they can block pretty steady. To see the biggest thing is going to see how far they go is like what Deshaun Watson has, but it's still early in the season.
And he played well last week.
He did. Excuse me. He played a lot better than what he had in the previous time. So, like, what do you like in that game, Bobby?
I actually like Cleveland to win this game. They're giving up 2.5. They were this morning, anyways.
Yes,
don't
I
know
have
what
had
the
him at
2.5.
2.5. Yes,
I think
2.5
they can win by
favorites.
the field goal. And I like the over. The over was at 41. So
We're-
give me Cleveland to cover, win, and hit the over.
We're universal on that one, brother. What'd you have on that one? You had 40.5.
I have 41.
Yeah, 41. Either one, 40.5, 41. Either one. I would take the over either way on that.
Okay,
Either way on that one. So we're in agreement on that one. So what do you like fantasy wise? We don't need to spend too much time on that after that.
No, hopefully you were able to get Ford off the waiver wire for Cleveland because obviously they're gonna feed him the ball.
Or Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, maybe not this week.
Not this week.
I think maybe next week, but
Either
Give me
way,
Ford.
but if you're looking to fill a fantasy, like especially with a lot of backs that have gone down, you better get him this week because
Yeah,
Kareem
get
Hunt
him,
will be
'cause-
gone next week. And so if you want to stash him, go ahead and pick him up now and stash him. All right, so next up, we're going down to those Cincinnati Bengals versus Tennessee Titans. Cincinnati Bengals versus Tennessee Titans. So for me, in this game here, Bengals finally got off the snide. Joey
did.
Burrow nutted up, and he got that victory there. I think they got to keep this thing rolling. They're going to treat him most of the week and everything. The Bengals are 2.5-point favorites. Tennessee is just a very
Yeah,
offensively hapless team. They just really are, and I don't know if Derrick Henry
is
will be
he
able to.
hurt right now? Like he didn't even take half the offensive snaps last week.
You know what? I just think the game flow never presented itself to him. I haven't seen the injury report yet. It's still early in the week, so we'll see what happens there. But for me, I like the Bengals to actually cover that 2.5, hit the money line, and the over/under I had at 40.5. I like the under on that one.
I had a 42.5.
Oh, yeah, the 42.5.
So I definitely like the under. I'm all in agreement all the way.
Oh
across
yeah,
the
yeah.
board on
Either,
that. That's
yeah.
3 in a row.
Yeah,
brother.
that's 3 in a row, brother. That's 3 in a row. We have to go back and look at the record to see how many of the ones we were in total agreement with that completely hit
actually
like that.
hit.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Oh yeah. So who do you like fantasy wise in that game?
In that game, give me Spears. Obviously, he's cutting into Henry's work. I think it's Tyjon Spears.
Is it backup running back?
He's rookie running back
Okay.
on the Titans. He played more than half the snaps last week. Especially if the game script, like it turns out like last week, he's obviously going to play more than Henry because he catches passes out of the backfield.
Oh, yeah.
Henry could be hurt. So give me Spears.
And they got to drag Henry along, too, to know that he's pretty much their main
he's
offensive weapon. So if they have a chance,
older.
and if they have a chance to push to the playoffs later on in the year, they need Derrick Henry to go.
They'll need him there.
That was the one thing when I used to draft, not draft, but even pay attention to Derrick Henry during fantasy football. If you watch Derrick Henry, the first 6 to 8 games sometimes gives you nothing, and then all of a sudden he rushes for 1,400 yards.
It's like a
last
diesel
second.
motor that's got to warm up.
Yeah, he definitely warms that bitch up. The second half of the season, he's full on go and get out of his fucking way. That's pretty much how that goes with Derrick Henry. So I like that one, Bobby. I like that a lot. All right, so next up, we've got the Raiders versus the Chargers.
Another division game.
Another division game.
Okay. For this one,
These Chargers are tough, man.
I like the Chargers to win this one.
I like the Chargers to win.
I like Chargers to win.
But I have the Raiders at 6 points. I have the Raiders covering 6.
I've got the Raiders at 5.5, so I like them covering that too.
Yeah, either way, we both got them covering. I have a hard time. I can't go all in on these Chargers yet as long as Brandon Staley's the coach.
No, they should have lost last week.
They should have lost last week, and Brandon Staley does some of the worst, most fucking. I can't even describe.
It's mind-boggling.
It is, man. It's it reminds me I don't know if you remember there's 10 years ago there was this high school coach that never kicked extra points. He always went for 2. Always kicked onside kicks. That's what Brandon Staley reminds me. Yeah, never punted. That's what Brandon Staley reminds me of in the NFL. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? But again, I don't have his job, so who knows? Who knows how he got there and what he did? Yeah. So the over under on that one, I got the over 47.5.
You like the over? I like the under.
You like the under?
I like the under.
Yeah,
Division game, I just like the under.
I like the over just because of the fact that neither one of those defenses showed me that they got a chance to stop each other worth of shit. I mean, Devontae Adams last week had 130, 10 catches, 132, 142 yards, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, and who's going to say J.C. Jackson? They just had to take him out. They had him a healthy scratch last week because he had a warrant that he didn't go appear for back in Boston.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
He had a warrant that the dude that they paid $80 million to, that's supposed to be the number one corner. Yeah, he had a healthy scratch, so he's probably not gonna play this week either. Which means Devontae Adams is gonna be running free and wild. So we'll see.
Does that come down under the league disciplinary?
Disciplinary.
Yeah.
Well, it does. So it will for the Chargers if the Chargers decide, hey, we're not gonna have to pay him because he didn't honor his contract because he did conduct detrimental to the organization.
Right.
That's pretty much by missing basically a court date. That's essentially what it was because this is a charge from 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh wow.
That he missed a court date for. Got a bench warrant for it, and that's why he was healthy scratch last week. Yeah, but he was sucking before that anyway. So I mean, and maybe that hanging over his head was part of the problem. Who knows? Because what we always got to remember too, as well, people when we're talking about gambling, we're talking about sports. These are real human beings.
Yes,
this isn't Madden.
Real people.
The motherfucker might wake up as a 99, but then he might get out of bed, stub his toe, and he's 88. You know, I mean, that's real life. We're talking about real human beings and not robots here. So, that's one thing I learned when you talk about gambling, football, and professional sports.
Okay, talking about a real person here, with Mike Williams going down, I heard he's out for the season.
Is he?
Yeah,
Again?
That's what I heard. He's out for the season. Now, that was driving in. That could change, but I heard it's bad. He's out for the season. So give me Palmer. Palmer's going to step up and be the number 2.
Who's that?
Chargers. Josh Palmer.
Josh Palmer.
Yeah,
Josh Palmer. Number 5. Is that number 5 on the team?
I think he's number 5.
Yeah, I think he wears number 5. Yeah, I mean he's going to be a good secondary, or also as a sleeper, Quentin Johnson, that rookie that they really liked out of TCU. That'd be that chance for him to slide in and maybe get his juice too as well. But
Palmer stepped up last week when
Palmer has more rapport. Palmer definitely has more rapport with Justin Herbert. So
Herbert's looking really good this year.
Oh yeah, did you see that throw, man? I don't know, like sidebar here. This is why I love if we get to a point in the show where we can actually pull up highlights and I can go through. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. That's one way we can get a little faster way to get to those highlights here that we can get post up for you. But Herbert rolled out to the left, man, and he threw this ball to the middle of the field. Like late as hell to the middle of. I mean, a laser.
Really?
I mean, laser. Nobody was even close to it. Like every quarterback, every offensive quarterback guru would tell you, "Don't make this throw. Don't make this throw." And it was so easy of a throw for him that it was like Brandon Staley has to go.
Yeah,
Brandon
he
Staley
really
has to go.
does.
Brandon Staley has to go because he's going to waste Justin Herbert even more because Justin Herbert has way more than Phillip Rivers had to offer.
Oh,
and,
ever.
and we can't see Justin Herbert fall the way of Phillip Rivers.
No,
we
do
can't.
not want
We
that.
cannot have that. All right, so next up we got the New England Patriots for our Cowboys who shit the bed against them Cardinals. We know.
You
we
knew
know.
it was gonna happen.
We knew. I mean, but you know, nobody goes undefeated anymore. You know, nobody does that. This is NFL football. Everybody gets paychecks. It is what it is.
Now, interesting fact, I did not know this going into the game, but coming out of the game, the Cardinals have beat Dallas 7 out of the last 8 times they've played.
And you know what? I heard that from an interview from Troy Aikman this morning because he said, I've covered like half of those games. For whatever reason, the Cardinals...
They just have Dallas's number.
But I think part of it is too as well, like because of the proximity, like from where they're located geographically, you get a lot of Cowboys fans in that stadium during that time.
They used to be division foes.
Yeah, and they used to be division foes, and I think that they sometimes can probably ruffle the Cardinals' feathers a little bit, make them pissy, give them a little extra motivation. But once again, they had just lost Trayvon Diggs that Thursday, so they didn't really get a chance to reconfigure their defense. That was a very last minute kind of, oh my God, we've been doing this, and this has been our game plan. This is what we're going to do to dominate all these teams.
Good thing we signed Gilmore.
Oh, thank God we signed Gilmore. Thank God. But it was supposed to be Diggs and Gilmore all season riding along,
right.
And that changed the defense dramatically because if you watch that game, they tore LeBron. Was it Deron Bland?
Yeah,
the Deron Bland. They tore him the fuck up. Every time you saw when they needed a big pass play, Deron Bland was the one that was targeted. He was the one that was getting targeted over and over and over again. So again, that's last week. We're gonna go to the Patriots here. And the Patriots said what I have. My Patriots said a 7-point underdogs.
Yep, I had it 7.
So I like the Patriots to cover that because last year the Cowboys last year the Cowboys blew them out. They somewhat blew them out to like to a certain degree. Well, they didn't blow them out because I think it was an overtime win. Wasn't it? Yeah. Well, it was an overtime win because they had to come back towards the end. So again, that even more so for me makes me want to cover because I don't like the fact that Bill Belichick has a tape and a blueprint of, hey, this is how you affect this team.
Okay.
Right now, and I want to go for Dak. I like to support Dak.
I like Dak.
I like to defend Dak.
He's just not an
but
elite
he's running out of time for me to keep defending him.
He's not
running. He's definitely not. Like, he's running out of time for me to keep defending him. I have a hard time with that. But I do like the Cowboys to win that game. So I like the Patriots to cover the 7 points, Cowboys to win that game, and the over/under I had at 43.5. I like the under.
I like the under in that as well. So you like New England to cover. I think the Cowboys. I think they're going to be pissed off from last week. And the Jets showed me, like, their defense is not as good as the Cowboys, and they held New England to 15.
Yeah, but that was also an interconference rivalry.
And the Jets' offense is nowhere near as good as Dallas.
Yeah, but then that also, again, that goes back to what I believe in Dak Prescott at that point. Because Bill Belichick, all he needs to see is those little glimmer of weaknesses.
Well, that's why I said there was no way the Jets were beating New England last week.
No.
Bill Belichick was not going 0-3.
No, Zach Wilson was not going to be able to outduel Bill Belichick defense. No way in hell.
Give me Zeke. Zeke's actually going to be a handcuff to Stevenson this year. He hasn't scored the touchdowns yet because I don't think New England's been down much in the red zone.
They haven't been. And actually to go on that, to piggyback off what you're saying, that's actually what's been hurting the Cowboys this year. And that's what I've been saying for the last several years. Is that Zeke had like 11 touchdowns last year. If you look at if you look at the Cowboys offense in the red zone, them and Philadelphia both are very at the piss poor end of the league. They are producing between the 20s. When they get in the red zone, they're not punching in. They're not getting the big first downs they need. And that was Zeke territory.
He was.
And everybody says, oh, Zeke, he was overpaid. He's this and that. But he was the best pass. He's the best pass blocking running back in the NFL. And short down yardage.
First and goal from the 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, first and goal from the 2, 3, second. You're not going to stop Zeke. You're not going to stop him when he smells that end zone. That's why he eats, baby. So that's why he eats.
Give me Zeke. Zeke's going to flex all year. You can pick Zeke up and flex him all year long.
Yeah, because if they get in the red zone, that's what they're going to know. Because that was the same. That's the reason why New England actually picked him up. Because as good as Ramondre Stevenson was last year.
Yeah, he got worn down.
Not only that, he also wouldn't punch it in the red zone. The red zone efficiency was very poor because he couldn't punch it in. He can breast those long ones and get that in, but there's a certain knack and a talent for getting that 3 yards when everybody's knowing you got to get those 3 yards and you know you got to run it. So I'm with you on that one. I like that. I like that play. All
So
right.
we're moving on to the next game. We've got Arizona and San Francisco.
All right. Yeah, so we're getting towards the tail end. This has been a sneaky cover. You know that Arizona's actually 3-0 against the spread this year?
I know, and
They
that's
are-
why I'm taking them to cover again.
I am too, because 14 fucking
Yeah,
points.
that's a lot of
14 fucking
points.
points. And you know what? That's actually, it's geographically convenient for both teams. So Arizona doesn't have to go far to travel up to San Francisco.
It's burned me. It burned me a couple of times last week, but I'm taking that 14.
I got to take it. I mean, honestly, the Cardinals have shown they got some fight in them. They're going to keep fighting. They're going to keep grinding. And the one thing that people don't understand with the NFL, everybody thinks like, oh man, this team sucks. This isn't college. These guys are fighting for jobs that are on the field. So even if the organization wants to tank, these guys aren't losing on purpose, because every film that you put on is a resume.
Yeah.
It's a resume. It is a resume that you're putting out there. So I like the effort the Cardinals have been playing with this entire time. They're playing for a new coach, new GM. There's a whole new vibe to the whole organization. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah,
So
I actually probably should have made that bet over there for the Cardinals to win at least one game.
Yeah, yeah. That probably wouldn't have been a bad bet, because I mean, yeah, that wouldn't have been a bad bet at all. But yeah, so 14 points is what I had. Did you have 14?
14. I like them to cover.
Yep.
I like San Francisco to win.
Yes,
obviously.
absolutely.
They're in San Francisco. They're going to beat the Cardinals,
Yes.
but the Cardinals are going to cover. I had the over/under at 43.5. What'd you have? it at?
Over under 43.5. I like the over.
I like the under in this.
You like the under
I
in
like
that
the
one?
under in this
You like
one.
the under in that one?
Arizona defense is sneaky good this year.
It has been sneaky good. I don't want to see one of those things happen where it pops off and the Niners all of a sudden roll out like 28 points or something
Right.
like that
Yeah,
on
that
them,
could
type of
happen.
thing where I can
That
see
could
it happen.
happen.
And so like maybe like a 28-20 type of game, that type of range. So that's the only reason why I kind of went over in that end there. Because you never know, defensive touchdowns, special teams, all that type of nature there.
With Arizona showing some little fire, if you're gonna pick up anybody on Arizona, it's got to be Rondell Moore, or Zach Ertz. Like, they're really the only two. James Conner, if you're touchdown dependent, but he's probably off the board. Somebody's already picked him up.
Yeah, I mean, and he's probably, his high dollar value for daily fantasy is going to be pretty high too at this
I
point.
know
too, so.
Rondell Moore's available. Dobbs, if you're really searching for a quarterback, but
He's a sneaky one. He's a sneaky
he's
one.
really played well so
NASA
far.
fucking scientists fucking lighting up the NFL. Lighting up the NFL. All right, so we're down to the last two games on the slate here. Next one we got is the Chiefs and the Jets. The Chiefs and the Jets, which was supposed to be a beautiful matchup
Yeah, it was supposed to be a great matchup.
going into Sunday night. This is a Sunday night game, right? Yep. So this is
Yep.
supposed to be a beautiful match going into Sunday night with Aaron Rodgers facing Patrick Mahomes, but we have
got Zach Wilson.
Patrick Mahomes and Zach Wilson.
I like.
All right.
Give
so,
me KC to cover this 9.5. What do you got?
I have KC covering 9.5 too as well. KC is like they've usually been a burn you because they like to make the spreads pretty big because they have a prolific offense. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, so on. Now we got the Swifties in the house now
Right.
with Taylor
Oh,
Swift
yeah.
and all that shit. Oh God, please shoot me now. But either way, so we got the Swifties in the house now and all that. So, but 9.5 against the Jets, I just can see that being like they're gonna have a hard time putting the offense like as good as the Jets defense is. I just have a hard time seeing their offense put up enough points to keep track anywhere close.
Yeah, I mean, even if it turns out to be 21-10.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of...
I like KC to cover, win on the money line. I like the over in this one, actually. I think KC's going to I think KC's probably going to just burn them.
Well, see, I picked the under. And I picked the under on the flip side just because of the Jets' defense having to hold their nuts for as long as they possibly can. So I picked the under for that being anywhere close to being a chance of the game.
I think after Wilson throws his second interception in the first quarter, they're going to wilt.
But see, I think the defense, I don't know. I don't see the defense has enough fucking dogs on that defense. So I can see them trying to hold it in enough.
Was it the defense or the offense last year that wore the T-shirts with the backup quarterback's face on?
I think it was the whole team. I think it was the whole team. They were so out on Zach Wilson at that point. I think it was the whole team that had Mike White.
I don't see how they could be in on him now.
But again, Mike White came in and threw touchdowns in the 70-something to 20 game against for the Dolphins.
I wish we had that guy back.
I know, man. But either way, because I guarantee if they still had Mike White on the team, Zach Wilson probably would not be quarterbacking right now. I'll tell you that right now.
As far as fantasy players, if you're picking up any KC receiver right now, Rice is going to be your man. Like, actually, he's showing some good rapport.
Was that number 4? Was it Rashee Rice?
Rashee Rice.
Rashee Rice, yes. Yep. Yes, he was nice. He looked good. Sky Moore kind of gave you a little bit of glimpses, but he
Yeah.
might be a little rich for my blood in that aspect. And he's probably out of most leagues at this point.
He probably Rice is available in our league. I know for sure.
Yeah, Rice. I'm sure for and we're 14-team leagues. If he's available in our league, he's available in most leagues in that aspect. All right, so we got the last game here. Got the Seahawks and the Giants. Seahawks and the Giants. You know what? I don't know what to make of this one. Honestly,
I don't know what to make of the Giants right now, and I really don't know what to make of the Seahawks. Are they trying to be a running team this year? Like,
I think Pete Carroll's always trying to have a running game to some aspect, to some degree in his team. He likes that influence on his team. That's why they had to get Russell out of there at a certain point, because Russell was wanting to cook. And Pete Carroll wants to run things the way he wants to run things. Why Geno was a perfect quarterback for him in that aspect. So for me, the Seahawks are 1.5-point underdogs going to New York, going to MetLife Stadium. I like the Seahawks. Offensively wise, I like the Seahawks.
Yeah, no, I got Seahawks winning this game. I got them covering. And I like the under in this one.
You know what? I like the under on that one too as well. So we're gonna finish out in agreement on that one. We're gonna finish out in agreement on that one, brother, because that's kind of where I'm at on that way. What do you like fantasy, Bobby?
If you're looking for somebody to handcuff, with Walker, because Walker likes to get hurt too, pick up Charbonnet, stash him on your bench. Because Seattle really doesn't have much outside of Walker right now.
Yeah, Charbonnet, he's a
rookie. I mean,
but he's explosive, and he
is explosive. He's going to get more touches as the season goes on. But Walker's going to get hurt at some point. He will get hurt.
Hopefully not. I don't like to speak that evil, but he's not on my fantasy teams. he's not on my fantasy teams.
Oh, he's not.
No, he's not. So, but either way, I don't like to speak that evil to anybody, just because I feel
he's got an injury history.
Oh, he does. He has an injury history. He definitely does. But I just like, for the fantasy guy and football gods purposes, I don't like to put that out there.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that. He's gonna get hurt
because that's when you lose like 2 running backs and a receiver on your team that week because you put that shit out there.
Jay putting that voodoo on me with Tyreek Hill that one night.
Exactly. Well, thanks again. This was another episode of Bets and Buds. I'm Jason Smoking Token.
I'm Bobby Light.
Thanks again. We're the Buds giving you the bets. Come back and see us next week. We're going to be ready to get this popping going again for you, everybody. We'll have those hot parlays, those Bobby Light Red Light specials, and we'll get you going here. Love you. Peace.